Welcome back. I'm Holly Draney with Riley Blake Designs, and now we're going to make the next 3 blocks in the 250th anniversary quilt that you see behind me. We're going to be making New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. We're going to start off with New Jersey. Okay, so New Jersey, you're going to need to make 4 quarter square triangle units here that you can see here. And then the other units here are just simply squares. So that's nice to have a simple block to put together for us here. So I've already sewn the middle row to the bottom row, but in between your regular squares, you're going to have 1 quarter square triangle right here. So let's go ahead and get that one sewn together. Okay, cut off my leader there, give it a quick heat set, and then this one's nice because I can press right towards that square. Keeps it nice and flat. We'll give it a little bit of the clapper here. And then we can come over and sew it here to the top row. Going to make sure that our seams are nested nicely together. Pin from the right down to the left. The same on this side. All right, go over to the pressing station now, give it a little heat set. And then on this, I do like to press my seam open because we have quite a few seam allowances meeting up, and we want to get rid of that bulk so it'll lay nice and flat. Give it a good press there. Flip it over, and then put my quilt block clapper on there for just a second. All right. So New Jersey was the 3rd state that joined the Union. And look at these 2 great quilt blocks next to each other. And you can see that we didn't have to do any fussy cutting, so anywhere that you cut on these prints is great. And now we can get ready and we can go right into Pennsylvania. Set those aside. Okay, Pennsylvania, the 2nd state to join. All right, so this is a little bit unique. So if you were with us last time, we did talk about the 3 quarter square triangle. This unit, this block, actually takes 2 of those 3 quarter square triangles and sews them together. It kind of makes a flying geese type block. But let's go ahead and I'm going to show you how that goes together. Now, the blue on the blue, and those seams actually line up really well and nest to make it really easy to sew these 2 units together. So that is really nice. It's just great how all these blocks, you have the same types of units to make them, but placement of fabric and just little teeny changes can alter the whole look of that star, which is so fun. Give it a little heat set. This one I am going to press that open. Otherwise, it just creates a little bit of bulk up there at the top where those seam allowances meet. And your needle can kind of get caught up on that seam allowance if it's too bulky. We don't want that. Use the little clapper. Okay, so here is the 1 unit now. The 2 quarter square triangle units sewn together to create one kind of a flying geese type block here. But now we're going to sew our squares to either end of that row. And if you weren't with me before, so these are leaders and enders. I usually just take 1.5 inch squares of scraps, fabrics that I have left over, and I use them. This one would be an ender because I'm ending the seam, but it turns into a leader when I go to start the next seam. So that's why they get the name leader and ender. All right. So the next square here. All right. I've never been to, well, actually, I take that back. I have been to Pennsylvania because I've gone to Quilt Market in Pittsburgh. And that was a great market. It was the first time I'd ever gone to Quilt Market. It was like my Disneyland. I absolutely loved it. Back in the days when I worked at a quilt shop, and so it was fun. I was getting away from the kids and home. Didn't have to make dinner. It was a true treat to go to there. And then we were able to travel a little bit, go to some Amish country. That was fabulous. All right, we're gonna sew this row now to the top of the block. And give a shout out to my brother-in-law. He's from Pennsylvania, the Pittsburgh area. He loves all those Pittsburgh teams. Penguins, Pirates, Steelers. All right. All right. Take it over here and we'll set that seam with a little heat. And then again, I'm going to press this one, just kind of technically kind of wants to fold to the center where it's that big, large block, square of fabric, I should say, and we'll just let it do its thing there. If you choose, you can press it open. Give it a nice press. I'm going to turn it over one more time, give it a nice press from the top. Set my quilt clapper on there. And then come over here. And now you can see the two different Pennsylvania blocks. This one was fun to be able to take and just fussy cut. It just so happens that I kind of fussy cut the same area. That wouldn't happen twice, I would imagine, so that's kind of tricky. I do love this block. I love how we were able to take and give the tips of this kind of flying geese a different color, a little highlight, and it just sets the star apart from all the others. That is Pennsylvania. So now let's go on to Delaware. Delaware, the very first state in the Union. And we love that. So here is Delaware. And this one I was able to fussy cut one of the ships. I'll call it the Mayflower, even though it probably isn't. And then this unit, you can see you're going to need 4 flying geese units and then some blocks. And then you're going to create a center block here called a square and a square. It's simply taking and doing stitch and flip on all 4 corners of a square, called a square and a square, because you can see that there's a square inside that square. So it's simple stitch and flip on all 4 corners. And then you're flying geese. And if you want to go back and get a little refresher, remember that on the very first set of blocks that we sewed together, I also showed you some simple ways and techniques on how to make these individual units. So you refer back to that at any time if you need a little refresher on how to make these units. We're going to sew this last square to the end of the flying geese there. All right. We'll take it over and give it a little heat to set that seam. And this one nicely just folds and press over to the square. And then we can bring it over here and finish this block. I've not been to Delaware. I don't have any fun little tidbits for you here to talk about Delaware. I'm going to have to make it a priority to go visit and see all the history that that state has to offer for our country. I know my family would love to go. All right. We'll go set our seam. And then on this one, I have quite a few seams intersecting, so I am going to press it open. Like I've mentioned, I really love it when my blocks lay nice and flat. It makes sewing your rows together so much easier when they are flat and behave nicely. Get a little press from the top. Set my clapper on there. We'll come over here. Now I wanted to point something out. You can see on these two blocks here, in this one, I cut straight. I did not worry about trying to get my ship centered on point. I don't have to worry about that. I can just cut it straight regular. Here I did try to fussy cut something on point. And you can see that it actually ends up being kind of crooked. So you may not want to use a square if you have actually cut it on point. I would recommend maybe going back and cutting it straight so that you don't have anything on the point like this, because it just doesn't look as nice as this one does here. But these are your Delaware blocks. And I really enjoyed these three. I think they were fun. This is coming together really, really quickly, as you can see. And I'm excited to show you the next in our next video, so please come back and join us again.